Aethelflame, The Song of Eleanor. Part 1, The Dawn of Innocence. The sun does not rise over the city of Lysoria, it is conjured. Each dawn, the sun-singers of the argent spire climb the court steps, their voices weaving a harmony so pure, so potent, that it coaxes the slumbering sun god's eye to open. Light, honey-thick and drenched in the scent of night-blooming jasmine and salt from the cerulean sea, spills across the white marble towers. It is a city of light, of music, of impossible beauty. And to a young heart, it feels like a gilded cage. Eleanor of House Valerius watches the daily miracle from her balcony, her chin resting on the cool stone railing. She feels the familiar, frustrating ache in her chest, a longing for something more than the view from this gilded perch. At 17, her world is a carefully curated tapestry of etiquette lessons, history scrolls, and the silent, watchful presence of her guardian, Lord Valerius. He is a good man, stern and kind in equal measure, but his eyes, the color of tarnished silver, hold secrets that stack like stones between them. You sigh as if the world weighs upon your shoulders, little dove, a voice, warm and familiar, chides. Kaelin, her childhood friend and captain of her personal guard, leans against the archway. His armor, polished to a high sheen, reflects the burgeoning dawn. It is only a new day. Is it? Eleanor turns, her simple linen gown whispering against the stone. It feels like the same day, repeated. A beautiful, endless loop. Don't you ever wish for chaos, Kaelin? For something real? Kaelin's smile is gentle, but his eyes are serious. Chaos is overrated, Elle. It smells of blood and smoke, not jasmine. He pushes off the archway. Your presence is required in the Hall of Whispers. Your guardian has guests. The Hall of Whispers earns its name. Sound dies here, swallowed by the strange, velvet-draped stone. Lord Valerius stands before the empty hearth, his posture rigid. Two figures flank him, their presence an offense to the dawn's beauty. They are clad in the obsidian and silver of the Umbral Guard, the feared enforcers of the distant Sunstone throne. Their faces are hidden behind featureless helms, but cold radiates from them like a chill. Eleanor, Lord Valerius says, his voice tighter than she's ever heard it. These gentlemen are merely passing through. They seek information on historical anomalies. They wished to see the Valerius archives. One of the Umbral Guards takes a step forward. He does not speak, but his helmet tilts, studying her. Eleanor feels a sensation like ice water trickling down her spine. It is not fear, not yet. It is a primal recognition. A predator recognizing another species entirely. Our archives are open to the throne, as always, she says, her voice surprisingly steady. She has been trained for courtly decorum, but this is different. This is a snake in the garden. The guard's gaze lingers on her, on the simple silver pendant she always wears, a star-shaped locket, cold against her skin. He takes another step, and a black-gloved hand rises, not toward her, but toward the pendant. Kaelin moves, a blur of steel and loyalty, placing his body between Eleanor and the guard. The lady's jewels are not a historical anomaly, he says, his voice low and dangerous. The silence that follows is heavier than any sound. The second guard's hand goes to the hilt of his shadow-wreathed blade. Lord Valerius pales. Then, the first guard lowers his hand. A soft, humorless sound escapes the helm, something between a sigh and a laugh. Indeed. He turns away, the moment broken. Our business here is concluded. The archives were insufficient. They leave as silently as they came, the oppressive cold departing with them. But the shadow they cast remains. Lord Valerius slumps, aged a decade in minutes. He looks at Eleanor, and for a fleeting second, she sees not a stern guardian, but a terrified man. What did they truly want, she whispers. He does not meet her eyes. Nothing for you to concern yourself with, child. Go. Prepare for the evening's festivities. His dismissal is final. But as Eleanor walks away, Kaelin a tense shadow at her back, she knows with a certainty that shakes her innocent world to its core. They were not here for dusty scrolls. The Umbral Guard, the terrifying hand of the Sunstone Throne, had come for her. And the look in her guardian's eyes told her he had known they would. Part 2, The Veil of Secrets. The grand mask of the summer solstice is Lysoria's masterpiece. The great plaza is a living constellation, a whirl of silk, jewels, and enchanted light. Masks of silver filigree and peacock feathers hide identities, granting a night of delicious anonymity. But Eleanor feels no freedom. The memory of the Umbral Guard is a splinter in her soul. She wears a gown of midnight blue, her mask a simple silver half-moon, but she feels exposed, as if those black helms can see through stone and magic alike. She drifts through the crowd, a ghost at the feast. The laughter is too loud, the music too shrill. She seeks air, escape, slipping through a forgotten archway into the palace's star garden. Here, the music is muted. Luminescent moths drift between night-blooming flowers, and the ancient star map mosaics underfoot seem to pulse with a soft, internal light. You look as though you'd rather be anywhere but here, a voice remarks, deep and laced with amusement. Eleanor starts. A man leans against a statue of a forgotten god, shrouded in shadow. He is tall, broad-shouldered, and unlike the peacocks in the plaza, he wears no mask. His face is all stark, elegant lines, a blade of a nose, a firm mouth, and eyes that watch her with an intensity that feels like a physical touch. They are the color of a storm-laden sky, and in their depths, she sees not courtly boredom, but a keen, restless intelligence. Perhaps I would, she retorts, her heart hammering against her ribs. Is it a crime to seek quiet? In Lysoria? Perhaps the greatest crime of all. He pushes off the statue, and she sees he is dressed not in court finery, but in practical, dark traveling clothes, worn and dusted with road grime. A long, leather-wrapped hilt rises over his shoulder. He is utterly, dangerously out of place. They worship noise here. It helps them forget the silence beneath their feet. What silence? The question is out before she can stop it. He smiles, a faint, crooked thing that does not reach his eyes. The silence of things lost. Of truths buried. He takes a step closer, and the air around him seems to crackle, the scent of ozone and distant rain cutting through the jasmine. His gaze flicks to her throat, to the star pendant. You wear an interesting trinket. Instinctively, her fingers close around it. It was my mother's. Ionia Valerius, he says, and the name on his lips is both a statement and a question. a woman of remarkable spirit. It is said her voice could charm the stars from the sky. His stormy eyes lock with hers. A useful talent for a sun singer. Before she fell, Eleanor's breath catches. No one speaks of her mother. It is the great, unspoken wound of her life. Who are you? A seeker of quiet things, he replies enigmatically. And you, Eleanor Valerius, are surrounded by a very great deal of noise. Be careful which melodies you choose to hear. Before she can respond, a shout echoes from the plaza. Kaelin's voice, sharp with alarm. Eleanor. She turns, and when she looks back, the stranger is gone. Vanished as if he were a trick of the light. Only the faint scent of a coming storm remains. Kaelin finds her a moment later, his face etched with worry. There you are. You shouldn't wander off. Not after today. His eyes scan the empty garden, missing nothing. Did you see anyone? Eleanor's hand is still clenched around her mother's pendant. It feels warmer than usual. No, she lies, the first true secret of her life blooming on her tongue. No one at all. Later, in the dead of night, she cannot sleep. She holds the pendant up in a sliver of moonlight. The stranger's words echo in her mind. A useful talent. Her mother's voice. Her own has always been unremarkable. A serviceable hum for family rituals. But now, driven by an impulse she doesn't understand, Eleanor holds the cold star medal and sings. Not a sun singer's complex harmony, but a single, pure note of longing. Of question. The pendant grows hot in her palm. A faint, silvery light, the color of moonlight on water, spills from its edges, etching a tiny, intricate rune onto her skin before fading. Eleanor stares at the mark on her palm, her heart a wild drum. The noise of her gilded life has finally broken, and in the resulting silence, she has heard the first, terrifying whisper of a truth she was never meant to know. Part 3, The Stranger of Fire and Shadow. His name is Rhydian. She learns it 3 days later in the chaos of the Lysaurian marketplace. The air is thick with the smell of spiced meat, exotic perfumes, and the cacophony of merchants hawking their wares. Eleanor, under Kaelin's watchful eye, is meant to be selecting silks. Instead, her attention is snagged by a commotion near the Street of Smiths. A figure, cloaked and hooded, is surrounded by 3 of the city watch. Their leader, a bullish man with a cruel smile, has a young urchin boy by the scruff of his neck. Stealing from a sun singer's altar is a flogging offense, Gutterat, the guardsman snarls. The cloaked figure steps forward, his voice low and lethal. The boy took a piece of bread left as an offering. Surely the gods are more merciful than you. It is him. The stranger from the garden, the guardsman laughs. The gods aren't here. I am. He shoves the boy aside and draws his blade. Interfere again, and you'll share his punishment. What happens next is a blur. The stranger, Rhydian, moves. There is no flourish, no wasted motion. It is the brutal, efficient poetry of a predator. He disarms the first guard with a twist of his wrist, sending the sword clattering. The second he sidesteps, using the man's momentum to send him crashing into a stall of pottery. The third he simply stares down. The guard freezes, blade half-drawn, as if he sees death itself in Rhydian's stormy eyes. Mercy, Rhydian says, the word a soft command, is a strength the watch has forgotten. Remember it. He tosses a silver coin to the stunned baker, another to the urchin, and melts back into the crowd before anyone can speak. Eleanor stands transfixed, her blood singing a wild, terrified tune. She had seen no magic, no flashy spells. Only skill and a terrifying, absolute authority. She finds him an hour later, on the windswept cliffs beyond the city walls. He stands at the edge, looking out at the endless cerulean sea, his cloak snapping in the wind like a dark banner. You followed me, he says without turning. He sounds weary, not surprised. You knew I would, Eleanor replies, her voice steadier than she feels. She is breaking every rule, every dictate of her safe life. Kaelin thinks she is napping. She has never lied so much. Who are you, truly? He finally turns. The sunlight catches the sharp planes of his face. He is older than she first thought, perhaps 30, with the weathered look of a man who knows hard roads. My name is Rhydian. And you, Eleanor, are a question that should never have been asked. What does that mean? She takes a step closer, the wind whipping strands of hair from her braid. The umbral guard came for me. You know of my mother. My pendant, it reacted to my voice. What is happening? Pain flashes in his eyes, quickly banked. You have her eyes. The same fierce, impossible hope. He sighs, a raw sound. Your mother was not just a sun singer, Eleanor. She was a keeper of the old ways. A singer of the world's true song, not the pretty lies woven for the throne. The power in your blood, it is not for coaxing the sun. It is for shaping reality itself. It is ether song. The word means nothing to her, yet everything. It feels true in her bones. The umbral guard serves the throne, and the throne fears what it cannot control. They have spent centuries hunting down and extinguishing the last echoes of the ether song. Your mother hid you, gave her life to keep your light secret. But your 17th summer has passed. Your power is awakening. And they can sense it, like sharks scenting blood in the water. The world tilts. Her entire life, her identity, is a carefully constructed lie. My guardian, Lord Valerius, loves you, and obeys the throne that grants him power. He is trapped, as you are. Rhydian closes the distance between them. He does not touch her, but his presence is a physical force. The choice is yours, Eleanor of the quiet heart. You can return to your balcony. You can let them hide you, suppress you, until you are a ghost in your own skin. Or you can come with me. Where? The word is a whisper. Into the fire. Into the shadow. To places where the world's true history is written in stone and blood. I can show you what you are. I can try to keep you alive. His gaze burns into her. The choice is yours. But choose now. Below them, the city of light gleams, a beautiful, treacherous cage. Ahead, there is only a dangerous man and a sea of terrifying unknowns. She looks at Rhydian, at the grim honesty in his face, the unspoken promise of peril and truth. Her heart screams of safety, of home. But her soul, newly awakened, sings a different note. A note of defiance. Of desire for the truth. She takes a final, shuddering breath of Lassorian jasmine. And takes a step toward him. Part 4, The Shattered Path. The world beyond Lysoria's white walls is a revelation of grit and grandeur. They travel hard and fast, avoiding the sun-bleached imperial roads for forgotten paths that snake through ancient forests and over mist-shrouded mountains. Rhydian is a silent, vigilant guide, his senses constantly scanning for threats Eleanor can't yet perceive. He teaches her the first lesson, how to be quiet, not just with her voice, but with her soul. How to still the inner hum of her fear, to make herself small and unnoticed in the world's great noise. Her body aches from writing, from sleeping on hard ground. She misses her soft bed, her books, the predictable rhythm of her old life. But with every mile, the gilded cage of Lysoria shrinks in her memory, replaced by the terrifying, exhilarating vastness of the real world. And with every mile, she watches Rhydian. She sees the careful way he handles his weapons, the respect with which he treats the land, the fleeting, unguarded moments of sorrow that cross his face when he thinks she isn't looking. He is a man carved from conflict and duty, and she finds herself wanting to unravel his mysteries as much as her own. One evening, camped in the ruins of a wayside shrine dedicated to a forgotten river goddess, he finally speaks of it. "They called your mother the nightingale," he says, poking their small fire with a stick. Sparks spiral into the twilight like dying stars. Her song didn't just please the gods. It could mend broken things. Flesh. Stone. Hope. What happened to her? Eleanor asks, her voice small. The Umbral King, Solon, on the Sunstone throne, learned of her power. He demanded she come to his capital, to sing only for him, to become a weapon in his endless wars of expansion. She refused. She fled, pregnant with you. She hid with Valerius, an old friend who believed in the old ways. But the Umbral Guard found her refuge. His jaw tightens. She sang a song of protection that night. A song so powerful it hid your nascent magic completely and cost her her life. She wrapped you in silence and died so you could live. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face, hot and silent. They are not just tears of grief, but of fury. Her entire life has been built on the foundation of her mother's sacrifice. And you? How do you know all this? Rhydian looks into the flames. I was the Umbral Guard sent to kill her. The air leaves Eleanor's lungs. She scrambles back, away from him, her heart a frantic bird against her ribs. Horror, cold and absolute, washes over her. You. I heard her song, he continues, his voice hollow, stripped of all emotion. I held my blade to her throat. And she looked at me, not with fear, but with pity. And she sang. Not a song of death, but of me. Of the boy I had been, of the man I could be. She showed me the rod at the heart of the throne I served, the truth I had blinded myself to. She showed me my own soul, and I found it wanting. He finally looks at her. Rhydian's face hardens into the mask of the warrior. No time. They're here. He kicks dirt over their fire, plunging them into near darkness. We run. Now. But it's too late. Dark figures emerge from the tree line, their movements silent and synchronized. 6 of them. Their featureless helms turn toward her. One raises a hand, and a shard of pure darkness, cold and soul-sucking, forms in its palm, aimed directly at her heart. Rhydian shoves her behind the crumbling altar of the shrine. "Stay down." He draws the great sword from his back, and for the first time, Eleanor sees his power unleashed. Not ether song, but something older, wilder. Shadows bleed from him, answering the call of the umbral magic, but he wields them like a shield, like a blade. He is fire and shadow, a whirlwind of devastating grace. But there are too many. A blade finds his side, and he grunts in pain. Another shard of darkness grazes his arm, and the skin blackens. Eleanor cowers behind the stone, useless, terrified. This is her fault. Her awakening brought this. Her mother died for her, Rhydian is being torn apart for her, and she can do nothing but hide. Then she hears it. A faint, silvery hum. It's her pendant, glowing against her skin, reacting to her terror, her desperation, her fierce, burning need to protect. The memory of Rhydian's words echoes in her mind. It is for shaping reality itself. She looks at Rhydian, bleeding, fighting against impossible odds for her. For his atonement. For her. A choice solidifies in her soul, hard and sharp as a diamond. She stands up. She ignores the advancing guards. She closes her eyes, and instead of stilling her soul, she opens it. She reaches for the chaotic, terrifying power inside her, the power she has spent a lifetime suppressing. She finds the note of her fear, her rage, her desperate, defiant love for this broken, beautiful, fighting world. And she sings. It is not a pretty sound. It is a raw, primal scream-given melody. A single, piercing note that cracks the night air. The power that rips from her is not the gentle light of the sun singers. It is a shockwave of pure ether, a visible pulse of silver energy that erupts from her center. It hits the umbral guards. Their shadow weapons dissolve. They are thrown back into the trees as if struck by a giant's hand. The sound reverberates through the mountains, a declaration of war. Silence returns, broken only by the crackle of their dying fire and Rhydian's ragged breathing. He stares at her, his sword hanging limp in his hand, his eyes wide with shock, pain, and something else, something like awe and terror. Eleanor sways on her feet, the world swimming. The power leaves her hollow, drained. She looks at her hands. They are glowing faintly with silvery light. The path of the innocent girl is well and truly shattered. In its place lies a road of fire, shadow, and a power she can barely comprehend, sung into existence by her own voice. Part 5, The Oath of Desire. The aftermath of her song is a world gone quiet and strange. Rhydian binds his wounds in a stiff, silent ritual, his gaze avoiding hers. The bodies of the umbral guards are gone, vanished into the same shadows that gave them form, leaving behind only a lingering chill and the coppery scent of blood. He leads her to a hidden cave high in the mountain, a place that smells of damp earth and old magic. For 3 days, he barely speaks. He tends his injuries, forages for food, and watches the passes below for signs of pursuit. The silence is a wall between them, thick and laden with everything that has been shattered, her trust, his secret, and the terrifying, undeniable truth of her power. On the fourth morning, as a thin gray light filters into the cave, Eleanor can bear it no longer. The memory of his fight, his blood on the stones, the awe in his eyes, it plays behind her eyelids on a relentless loop. "Say something," she pleads, her voice raw from disuse and unsung emotion. Rhydian, sharpening his dagger by the entrance, stills. His shoulders are tense. "What would you have me say, Eleanor? That you were magnificent? That you were a fool? You could have been killed. You could have burned out your own core wielding power you do not understand. You would have been killed if I hadn't," she fires back, surging to her feet. The frustration, the fear, the sheer adrenaline of the past days boils over. "Was I just to watch? Is that the purpose of your atonement? To die for me while I do nothing?" He turns then, and the storm in his eyes is terrifying. "Yes." The word is a crack of thunder. He stands, looming over her in the confined space. "That is the point. My life for yours. A life for a life. It is a simple equation." "It is not simple," she shouts, tears of fury springing to her eyes. She jabs a finger into his chest, ignoring his wince of pain. "My mother didn't die for a simple equation. She died for a future. She saw something in you worth saving. And you have spent years watching over a ghost, haven't you? You don't see me. You see her. A debt to be paid." His control shatters. He grabs her wrists, not roughly, but with a desperation that steals her breath. "You think I see her?" he growls, his face inches from hers. His scent, ozone, leather, and blood, fills her senses. "I see you, Eleanor. I see the woman who left everything she knew without looking back. I see the courage that terrifies me because I cannot control it. I see a power that could shatter the world, and a heart that would only ever want to mend it. I see the most infuriating, brave, and vital person I have ever known." His gaze drops to her lips. The air between them crackles, thick with unsaid things, with a tension that has been building since the Star Garden. The world narrows to this cave, to his hands on her skin, to the ragged sound of their breathing. All her life, Eleanor has known a quiet, passive existence. Now, she is made of fire and need. She doesn't think. She acts. She rises onto her toes and closes the distance between them. Her kiss is not gentle. It is a claim. A question. An answer. It is fury and forgiveness, fear and fierce, undeniable want. For a heart-stopping second, Rhydian is frozen. Then, with a groan that seems torn from the depths of his soul, he answers. His arms wrap around her, crushing her to him, his kiss a desperate, hungry thing. It is not the kiss of a man fulfilling a duty. It is the kiss of a man who is drowning and has found the only air that can save him. It is a conflagration. Weeks of suppressed desire, of unspoken attraction, of shared danger and terrifying truths, explode into a single, searing moment. His hands slide from her wrists to her back, pressing her closer. Her fingers tangle in the dark hair at the nape of his neck, pulling him down to her. This is her awakening. Not in a sun-drenched room, but in a dark, damp cave, surrounded by the evidence of their survival. It is not a gentle blossoming, but a wildfire. It is in the scrape of his stubble against her skin, the solid strength of his body against hers, the taste of him, wild and dark and utterly Rhydian. It is in the way her power, her ether song, hums in resonance not with fear, but with a profound, shocking rightness. He is the first to break away, resting his forehead against hers, his breath coming in ragged gasps. Eleanor, he whispers, her name a prayer, a curse. This is a path from which there is no return. She looks up at him, her own heart hammering, her body thrumming with the echo of his touch. The naive girl is gone. In her place stands a woman, sure and unafraid. I am not looking for a return, she says, her voice low and steady. I am looking for a future. With you. She sees the war in his eyes, duty against desire, past against present. And she sees the moment desire wins. He captures her mouth again, this kiss slower, deeper, a vow sealed not with words, but with feeling. Later, tangled together in the faint light, the world outside forgotten, he traces the line of her jaw with a reverence that makes her shiver. The oath I swore to your mother was one of duty, he murmurs against her skin. The oath I swear to you now is one of desire. Of choice. My heart for yours. My shadow for your light. Until my last breath. Eleanor curls into him, her head on his chest, listening to the strong, steady beat of his heart. She has lost a world of innocence. But in its ashes, she has found something fiercer, more powerful, more real. She has found her destiny, and she has found her love. And she knows, with a certainty that bones deep, that their song has only just begun. Part 6, The Kingdom of Whispers. Their journey turns north, toward the jagged, snow-capped peaks of the Dragon's Teeth Mountains. The air grows thin and cold, but a new warmth lives between them now, a silent, steady current that passes with a touch of hands, a shared glance. Rhydian's training intensifies, but it is no longer just about silence and survival. It is about control. The ether is not a weapon to be unleashed, he says, his voice a low rumble as they hike through a narrow pass. It is a current. You do not fight it. You must learn to bend with it, to guide it. Like steering a ship on a wild sea. He teaches her to feel the flow of energy in the world, in the ancient stone beneath their feet, in the sigh of the wind, in the slow, deep heartbeat of the mountain itself. Her power, once a terrifying, unpredictable scream, begins to find a focus. She can now coax a spark to light their fire, encourage a stubborn stream to flow clearer. Small things. Precise things. Each success is a thrill that rivals the memory of his kiss. Their destination, he tells her, is the Citadel of Whispers, a hidden stronghold of the last remnants of the old ways, the very people her mother died to protect. They find it not by sight, but by sound. One moment, there is only rock and sky. The next, Rhydian places his hand on a seemingly blank wall of granite and hums a low, complex sequence of notes. The mountain itself shimmers, and a great archway grinds open, revealing a city carved into the heart of the peak. The citadel is a marvel of lost magic and desperate survival. Buildings are hewn from living rock, illuminated by glowing crystals that pulse with soft light. Waterfalls cascade through cavernous chambers, and the air is filled with the soft, constant murmur of voices, the whispers that give the citadel its name. Here are scholars preserving forbidden histories, artisans crafting with ether-infused materials, and men and women with the same hidden light in their eyes that Eleanor is learning to recognize in her own. They are welcomed with a reverence that makes Eleanor uncomfortable. They call her Ionia's daughter, their hope made flesh. Their leader is an ancient, formidable woman named Lyra, with eyes like chips of flint and a voice that sounds like shifting stones. "You are late, Rhydian," Lyra says, her gaze sweeping over Eleanor with an appraising sharpness that misses nothing. "The throne's hunters are more vigilant than ever," Rhydian replies, his posture respectful but unyielding. "They sense the shift in the song," Lyra states, leading them into a chamber lined with crystal and maps. "The Umbral King is not just a tyrant, he is a parasite. His power, the shadow magic his guard wields, is a corruption. It leaches the true ether from the world, leaving silence and dust in its wake. He seeks to unmake reality itself and rebuild it in his own sterile image." She points to the map. Dark patches, like rot, spread across the continent from the sunstone throne at its center. He is searching for the Heartstone, the primal source of all ether song. Legend says it is the first note the gods ever sang. Whoever controls the Heartstone controls the song itself. A cold dread trickles down Eleanor's spine. Can he find it? He has spent a lifetime trying. He has tools. Lyra's face darkens. Traitors. Those who once sang the song but traded their loyalty for power and protection. A man enters the chamber then, and the air grows cold. He is tall, elegant, dressed in the simple robes of a citadel scholar, but his eyes are a pale, calculating blue. "Lyra." "Rhydian." His voice is smooth as oil. "And this must be the precious progeny we've all been waiting for." His smile does not reach his eyes. "I am Kaelin." The name is a blow. It is not her Kaelin, but so close it feels like a deliberate mockery. Rhydian's body goes rigid beside her, a predator sensing another. "Kaelin," he says, "the name a curse. I thought you were monitoring the Eastern Pass. My duties bring me where I am most needed," Kaelin says smoothly, his gaze lingering on Eleanor with a possessiveness that makes her skin crawl. "To serve the Citadel." After the meeting, Eleanor pulls Rhydian aside. "You don't trust him." "He was your mother's foremost student," Rhydian says, his voice tight. "Her favorite. He was captured by the Umbral Guard years ago. We thought him dead. He escaped a year later, changed. Colder. He brings valuable information, but you think he broke," Eleanor finishes. "I think some breaks are not visible on the surface," Rhydian murmurs, watching Kaelin's retreating back. "He plays a deep game. Be careful of him, Eleanor. His whispers are not like the others." Days turn into weeks. Eleanor trains, learns the Citadel's history, and feels the weight of their hope settle on her shoulders. She also feels Kaelin's eyes on her constantly. He is always there, offering guidance, complimenting her progress, his words always laced with a subtle poison. He speaks of her mother's mistakes, of her sentimentality, of the need for stronger, more direct action. "You have a power Ionia never dared embrace," he tells her one day, finding her alone in the library cavern. "The song is not just for mending, girl. It is for ruling." Why heal a broken world when you can forge a new, better one from the ashes? His words are a dark mirror to her own desires for change, and they frighten her with their seductive logic. The betrayal comes on the night of the storm. Howling winds scream outside the mountain, masking the sound of the Umbral Guard's approach. They pour from a secret tunnel, a passage only a high-ranking scholar would know. The citadel erupts into chaos. The whispers become screams of battle. Rhydian is a whirlwind of shadow and steel at her side, but there are too many. They are being overwhelmed. Through the fray, Eleanor sees him. Kaelin. He is not fighting. He stands near the great entrance, a look of serene satisfaction on his face. In his hand, he holds not a weapon, but a large, resonating crystal. He meets her eyes across the chamber and smiles. Then he raises the crystal and brings it down onto the central control plinth. A deafening crack echoes through the citadel, followed by a horrific groan of straining stone. The great archway, their primary defense, begins to shudder closed, trapping them all inside with the invading guard. He didn't just lead them here. He meant to bury the hope of the old ways in a tomb of rock and blood. Rhydian shouts her name, pulling her back from a falling chunk of ceiling. The world is ending around them. And in that moment of utter despair, Eleanor knows. This is not just a fight for her life. It is a war for the very soul of magic. And she has just learned its first, brutal lesson. The most dangerous whispers do not come from your enemies, but from those who claim to stand with you. Part 7, The Bond of Flame and Storm. Chaos is a living thing in the citadel. It has a taste, stone dust and blood. A sound, the clash of steel, the sizzle of corrupted magic, the screams of the dying. A feel, the violent shudder of the mountain as the great doors grind relentlessly shut. They are being sealed in their own grave. Rhydian's voice cuts through the bedlam, sharp and commanding. The secondary vents. Lyra. The eastern chamber has an escape route for the children and the wounded. The old woman nods, already moving, her voice rising in a song of shielding that forms a shimmering dome over a group of fleeing citizens. Rhydian. The mechanism, it's jammed. We cannot stop the doors. Rhydian's stormy eyes meet Eleanor's. The unspoken message passes between them in a heartbeat. He will hold the line. She must do the impossible. He turns toward the advancing Umbral Guards, his own shadow power flaring around him, a dark and furious storm. Go, he roars. Eleanor turns and runs, not away from the fight, but toward the source of the calamity, the shattered control plinth. Kaelin is gone, vanished into the chaos he created. The great stone doors are more than halfway closed, their movement powered by the citadel-owned failing heart. She skids to a halt before the wreckage, her mind racing. This is not a stream to be coaxed or a spark to be lit. This is a cataclysm to be halted. Panic claws at her throat. She is not strong enough. She is a novice. You are Ionia's daughter, a voice that sounds like Rhydian's whispers in her mind. You are Eleanor. She closes her eyes. She doesn't fight the panic. She lets it flow through her, finds its frequency, its terrible, screaming note. And then she finds another note beneath it. The steady, relentless beat of Rhydian's heart where her cheek had rested. The solid strength of his will. The ferocity of his love. Her ether song is not a solo. She reaches out, not with her hands, but with her soul. Across the chaos of the battle, through the screams and the clash of steel, she finds the burning, shadowed core of him. His power is wild, dangerous, born of the very darkness the throne wields, but tempered by his will, by his choice, by her. Rhydian, she sings, not with her voice, but with her spirit. She feels his shock, then his instant, unwavering response. His power surges toward her, not to overwhelm, but to join. Shadow and light. Storm and flame. Their energies meet within her, and for a terrifying, glorious second, she thinks she will be torn apart by the contradiction. But they don't clash. They weave. His shadows give her light structure, focus, a cutting edge. Her light gives his shadows purpose, warmth, life. Their bond, forged in trust and desire, becomes a conduit for a power that is neither his nor hers, but something entirely new. She opens her eyes and sang. The note that leaves her lips is pure, potent, and blindingly bright. It slams into the broken mechanism. But it does not shatter it further. The silver light wraps around the gears and levers of stone, holding them in a stasis of pure will. The grinding shudders to a halt. The doors stop, mere feet from being sealed forever. The effort is immense. She feels Rhydian's strength feeding hers, feels his knees buckle under the strain across the room. She is the lens, but he is the fuel. Together, they hold the weight of the mountain. Now. Rhydian's voice is a strained gasp she hears not with her ears, but in her soul. With a final, gut-wrenching push of their combined will, she sang a second note, a note of reversal. The great doors shuddered and, with a deafening groan of protest, began to slowly, impossibly, grind open. Sunlight and clean, stormy air blast into the citadel. The tide of battle turns. The sight of the open door, of hope returning, galvanizes the defenders. The umbral guard, their trap foiled, falter. Eleanor sags to her knees, spent. Rhydian is there in an instant, catching her before she falls. He is bleeding from a new cut on his brow, his breath ragged, but his arms around her are the strongest thing she has ever known. Eleanor, he breathes, his voice full of awe and a fear that had nothing to do with battle. What did we do? She looks up at him, her vision swimming. We sang a new song. In the aftermath, as the wounded are tended and the dead are mourned, a grim resolve settles over the citadel. Kaelin's betrayal is a wound that will not soon heal. They know the throne's reach is longer than they feared. Lyra finds them later. She looks older, wearier, but her flinty eyes hold a new respect. The bond between you, it is a thing of legend. A tether of souls. It has not been seen in 1,000 years. She looks from Eleanor to Rhydian. It makes you powerful beyond measure. And it makes you a target beyond any other. Solon will now know that the daughter of Ionia is not just a beacon of the old power, she is the heart of a new one. And he will stop at nothing to extinguish you both. Eleanor leans into Rhydian's side, drawing strength from his solid presence. The fear is still there, a cold knot in her stomach. But it is overshadowed by the memory of their joined power, the rightness of their fused souls. She is no longer a girl running from a threat. She is a woman who has stared into the abyss and, hand in hand with the man she loves, has forced it to blink first. The war is here. And she is ready. Part 8, The Trial of the Heart. The Citadel of Whispers is a wounded beast, licking its wounds and preparing for the next blow. Kaelin's betrayal has left a poison in its veins, a deep-seated paranoia where trust once flourished. And the focus of that fear, Eleanor learns with a sinking heart, is Rhydian. He is an outsider. A former Umbral guard. His shadow magic, the very power that helped her save them, is a stain in the eyes of many. Whispers follow him in the halls now, no longer hopeful, but suspicious and dark. They fear what they do not understand, Eleanor argues hotly to Lyra in the council chamber. His power is different, but his heart is true. He has proven it 100 times over. His heart is tied to yours, child, Lyra replies, not unkindly. That is the only reason he is tolerated. But trust is a fragile thing, easily shattered. The council is uneasy. They question the wisdom of keeping a weapon of the throne so close to our greatest hope. He is not a weapon. He is a man. To them, he is both. Lyra's gaze is weary. And now, we have a new problem. The problem is a scroll, recovered from the body of a high-ranking Umbral officer during the attack. Deciphered by Lyra's most trusted scholars, it contains a devastating revelation. It details the throne's plan to attack the free city of Ravenna, a neutral trading hub and secret haven for ether-touched refugees. But it is more than a battle plan, it is a ritual. Solon means to sacrifice the entire city, its thousands of souls, in a massive blood ritual to finally locate the Heartstone. The council is divided. Some argue they must muster their forces and defend Ravenna, to make a stand and save the innocent. Others, the majority, see it as a suicide mission. A trap designed to lure out and crush the last of the resistance once and for all. We cannot save them, an old scholar says, his voice trembling. To try is to die. Our duty is to survive, to protect the knowledge we hold. To what end? Eleanor cries, standing. To become a library of the dead? To let thousands die screaming so we can hide in a mountain? That is not the old ways. That is cowardice. The council falls silent, shamed by her fury. It is then that a new voice, calm and persuasive, cuts through the tension. Kaelin, her childhood guardian, steps from the shadows where he had arrived just days before, having finally escaped Lysoria. His face is grim. The girl is right. But a direct assault is folly. There is another way. All eyes turn to him. I have sources within the throne's court, Kaelin says, his voice low. There is a dissident faction. Nobles who fear Solon's madness. They are prepared to move against him, but they need a catalyst. A symbol. His eyes settle on Eleanor, full of a fierce, protective love. If Eleanor were to come with me, to stand before them, her power a living testament to the old world, we could spark a civil war. We could topple Solon from within and save Ravenna without shedding a single resistance life. The plan is brilliant. Audacious. It offers victory without the horrific cost of a doomed battle. But it comes with a condition. You must come alone, Eleanor, Kaelin says, his voice gentle but firm. The presence of a former Umbral guard, a man shrouded in dark magic, would undermine everything. It would confirm every fear Solon has sown about us being monsters. You must be a beacon of pure, unsullied light. The unspoken words hang in the air, you must come without Rhydian. Eleanor feels the world drop out from under her. She looks at Kaelin's earnest, beloved face. He offers a path of politics and persuasion, a chance to use her name and her power as a diplomat, not a weapon. It is the path of a queen. Then she looks at Rhydian. He stands apart, his face a stoic mask, but she can feel the turmoil through their bond, the sharp sting of rejection, the cold fear for her safety, the grim acceptance of his own perceived role as a stain on her legacy. The choice is excruciating. Duty to the greater good, to saving thousands, lies with Kaelin's plan. It is logical, smart, and safe. Her heart, her soul, her very power, is tethered to Rhydian. To ask her to sever that connection, even temporarily, feels like asking her to tear out her own heart. Could she even access her full power without the other half of her song? She is pulled in two. The wise leader she is meant to be, and the passionate, unpredictable woman she has become. That night, she finds Rhydian on a high balcony, staring out at the starlit peaks. He doesn't turn as she approaches. He is not wrong, Rhydian says, his voice quiet, defeated. I am a shadow. You are the light. Shadows frighten people. I will only ever hold you back. Taint you. Eleanor moves to stand beside him, her shoulder brushing his arm. You are my strength. My balance. What we did at the door, that was not just me. That was us. And what of Ravenna? He asks, finally looking at her, his stormy eyes full of pain. If there is a chance to save them without a war, a chance for you to lead with words instead of blood, can we in good conscience ignore it? For the sake of my pride? For our bond? He is arguing for her to leave him. The ultimate act of his love and atonement. Tears well in her eyes. This is the trial. Not of magic or combat, but of the heart. A choice between the man she loves and the people she is sworn to protect. She takes his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. I love you, she says, the word simple and absolute. That is not a complication. It is my foundation. She kisses him, pouring every ounce of her fear, her love, her resolve into it. When she breaks away, her decision is made. It is not the decision of a queen, but of Eleanor. I will not go to the throne alone, she says, her voice firm. Kaelin's plan is a good one. We will use it. But we adapt it. You will be with me, not as a shadow to be hidden, but as my consort. My equal. My strength. We will show them that the new world is not about pure light vanishing dark, but about balance. About choice. We will show them that a man of the Umbral Guard can choose to stand for life. That is a more powerful symbol than any untouchable goddess. She sees the hope warring with the fear in his eyes. They will never accept me. Then we will make them, Eleanor says, and the power in her voice is not just ether song. It is the unshakable certainty of a woman who has found her true path. We go together. Or not at all. She has made her choice. Not between love and duty, but has woven them together into a stronger cord. She will save Ravenna. She will challenge the throne. And she will do it with the man she loves at her side, no matter the cost. Part 9, The War of Shadows. The road to the Sunstone Throne is a descent into a corrupted dream. The vibrant world Eleanor knew shrivels the closer they get to the heart of Solon's power. The fields are gray and fallow, the skies are a perpetual twilight, and the very air tastes of ash and despair. The ether here is thin, sickly, drained by the throne's relentless hunger. They travel with a small, elite contingent from the citadel, Kaelin among them. His disapproval of Rhydian is a silent, cold weight, but he is loyal to Eleanor, his devotion to Ionia's memory overriding his personal misgivings. Their plan is a desperate gamble: infiltrate the capital, make contact with the dissident faction, and expose Solon's plan for Ravenna before he can enact it. The capital is a nightmare of obsidian spires that pierce the sickly sky. There is no music here, only the constant, low hum of machinery and the marching of countless umbral guards. The people move through the streets with downcast eyes, their spirits as broken as the land. Making contact with the dissidents is like navigating a web of glass. Meetings are held in soundproofed rooms deep underground. The nobles are pale, terrified creatures, their wealth a poor shield against Solon's paranoia. He is mad, one lord whispers, his hands shaking. He speaks of unmaking the song and singing a new one, with himself as the sole god. The Ravenna ritual, it is not just to find the Heartstone. It is to power a cataclysm. The scale of Solon's ambition chills Eleanor to the bone. He doesn't want to rule the world, he wants to erase it and start over. They agree to act. The dissidents will create a diversion at the ritual's source, the great sunstone spire itself, while Eleanor and Rhydian are smuggled into the throne room to confront Solon before he can begin. But the web of glass shatters too soon. Betrayal, it seems, is a habit in this war. One of the dissidents, a woman with desperate eyes, sells their secret to save her own family. They walk into the throne room not as liberators, but into a perfectly laid trap. The room is vast, cold, and empty save for the throne itself, a monstrous chair carved from a single block of the black, light-drinking sunstone. And on it sits Solon, the Umbral King. He is not the monstrous giant of legend, but a gaunt, pale man with eyes that are utterly, terrifyingly empty. They are voids that suck in the light around them. "The little nightingale," he says, his voice a dry rustle, like dead leaves. "And her pet shadow. I have been waiting for you to come and complete my song." Umbral guards materialize from the darkness of the room, dozens of them. Kaelin and their citadel guards are seized, overwhelmed in seconds. Rhydian moves in front of Eleanor, his sword drawn, his own shadows rising in a desperate, last stand. "The bond between you is interesting," Solon muses, tilting his head. "A paradox. Light and dark, woven together. It will make the unraveling all the more potent." He raises a hand. And he begins to sing. It is not a song. It is an anti-song. A silence-given sound. It is a wave of absolute nullity that slams into them. Eleanor cries out, feeling her connection to the ether, the very core of her being, stretch and thin, threatening to snap. Beside her, Rhydian stumbles, the shadows around him dissolving like smoke in a gale. Solon's power is not to corrupt, but to erase. "You see?" Solon whispers, his voice everywhere and nowhere. You fight for a song that is weak. Fleeting. I offer silence. Peace. Perfection. Through the agony, Eleanor feels Rhydian's hand find hers. Their fingers laced together. His pain is her pain, his fading strength is her own. But in that touch, something sparks. A memory. Of a cave. Of a kiss. Of a joined song that held back a mountain. Together, his voice whispers in her soul, faint but fierce. Solon's null song intensifies, seeking to tear their bond apart, to unmake them separately. Instead, they hold on tighter. Eleanor closes her eyes, shutting out the horror. She finds the core of herself, the tiny, defiant flame that Solon's void cannot extinguish. And she finds Rhydian's core, a stubborn, enduring ember of will. She doesn't fight the null song. She does what Rhydian first taught her. She bends. She guides. She takes their combined pain, their fear, their love, and she makes it the foundation of a new note. A note of defiance born not of purity, but of complex, messy, beautiful life. She opens her mouth, and Rhydian's voice joins hers, not in harmony, but in unison. Their song is not silver light or black shadow. It is a brilliant, stormy gray, the color of a world that knows both sun and rain, joy and sorrow, life and death. It is the song of a choice to live, to love, to fight, in all its imperfect glory. It meets Solon's null song not with force, but with truth. The two powers collide in the center of the throne room. There is no explosion. There is a terrible, straining silence. Then, a crack. A fissure appears in the great sunstone throne. Solon screams, a sound of utter rage and disbelief. His perfect silence is being broken by their messy, chaotic, living song. The battle is joined. Not with armies, but with souls. Kaelin breaks free, rallying the captured guards. The Citadel forces and the dissidents, hearing the cosmic struggle, push forward. The throne room becomes a battlefield of clashing steel and flashing magic. But at the center of it all, Eleanor and Rhydian stand hand in hand, singing the world back into existence against the king who would see it unmade. They are the flame and the storm, and together, they are unstoppable. Part 10, Ashes and Stardust. The song of Eleanor and Rhydian does not defeat the null song, it consumes it. Their gray, living light floods the throne room, washing over the umbral guards. It does not destroy them. It unravels them. The corrupted shadows that give them form dissolve, leaving behind dazed, confused men and women who blink in the sudden, clean light, free of the throne's influence for the first time in decades. The light hits Solon last. He shrieks as his own power, his stolen, corrupted silence, turns against him. The fissures in the sunstone throne widen, and with a sound like a dying star, the great monolith shatters. Solon does not die in a blast of glory. He simply unmakes. He fades into the nothingness he so coveted, his final scream a whisper lost in the echoes of falling stone. Silence returns to the throne room, but it is a different silence. It is the quiet after a storm, full of potential, pregnant with the promise of new life. The war is over. In the days that follow, Eleanor moves through a world reborn. The gray skies over the capital begin to clear, allowing true sunlight to touch the obsidian towers for the first time in generations. The dissident nobles, led by a grateful and chastened faction, look to her for guidance. They offer her the throne. She stands on the balcony of the palace, looking out at a city tentatively beginning to hope. Rhydian stands beside her, his hand a constant, steadying presence in hers. His shadows are quieter now, no longer a weapon, but a part of the balance. They need a queen, he says softly. She looks at him, at the love and unwavering support in his stormy eyes. She thinks of the citadel, of Lysoria, of the vast, wounded world that needs healing, not another ruler on a lonely throne. No, she says, her voice clear and sure. They need to remember how to rule themselves. She declines the crown. Instead, she uses her authority to dismantle the machinery of the Umbral Guard and to establish a new council, a diverse gathering of scholars from the citadel, of freed citizens, of former dissidents, and even of the redeemed former guards who chose to stay and help rebuild. She gives them the tools, the knowledge of the old ways, and then she steps back. She will not be a queen in a palace. She will be a guide, a keeper of the song. There is one last task. With the world's ether flowing freely again, the Heartstone is no longer a hidden myth. Its call is a gentle, constant pull in her blood. She and Rhydian follow it, not to wield it, but to protect it. They find it in a hidden glade, at the center of a rejuvenated forest. It is not a stone of immense size or dazzling brilliance. It is a simple, smooth river rock that pulses with a soft, warm light. It is the world's first note, humming gently to itself. Eleanor does not touch it. She simply sits before it and sings. A song of healing, of memory, of hope. Rhydian's hum joins hers, a dark, rich counter-melody that grounds her light. Together, their song wraps around the Heartstone, not to contain it, but to hide it in plain sight, to weave in protection of peace and forgetting around it, so that it may never be found by those who would seek to use it again. Their work done, they turn their backs on the stone, leaving it to its silent, joyful song. They do not return to the citadel or the capital. Their path is their own. They become legends, whispered stories told around campfires. The woman with sunlight in her voice and the man with storm in his soul, who walk the world, mending what was broken and guarding the fragile, precious song of life. On a cliff overlooking the cerulean sea, in a small cottage filled with light and the scent of the sea, Eleanor stands on a balcony. It is not a gilded cage, but a choice. Rhydian comes up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, pulling her back against his solid chest. Below them, the waves crash against the rocks, a timeless, powerful music. She leans her head back against his shoulder, her hand resting over the gentle swell of her abdomen where their child, a new song of light and shadow, is growing. Her life began in innocence, was shattered by betrayal, and forged in fire and love. She has known deep pain and deeper joy. She has been a daughter, a refugee, a weapon, a savior, a lover. Now, she is simply Eleanor. A woman who chose love over duty, balance over power, and in doing so, saved the world. The ashes of the old world are behind them. Ahead lies a future written in stardust, waiting to be sung into being. Together,